Good afternoon, students. Last class we started with the Bresenham line drawing algorithm, so I'll quickly go through it. Okay, and then we'll try to solve few problems based on that. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. Great. So let's just quickly go through our previous topic. So we started with Bresenham line drawing algorithm, which is basically a conversion from your vector representation to a raster representation. So raster representation because we are displaying it onto the screen. So we have seen different scenarios like when your slope is less than, greater than or equal to 45 degree. And we have derived a condition when your slope is less than 45 degree, right? So we have a line with the equation y equal to mx plus c, and this is for next, as we are doing a sampling with respect to x-axis, your x will be incremented at every iteration, whereas for y we want to make a decision whether we have to go ahead with the next value of the y, that is you're going to increment your y or you are going to continue with the same value. So that decision need to be done. Hence we are making use of this algorithm. So first we are going to calculate the difference that is serves as a decision parameter. So here we have d1 and d2, which is the distance of the line from your pixels, which is in this case it is yk and yk plus 1. So wherever the distance is less, so that pixel is considered. If d1 has less distance compared to d2, then accordingly you are going to make the decision. So this condition is over here. And then we did few derivation, so wherein you are doing d1 minus d2 and you have done some simplification, and finally you got 2 into delta y xk plus 2 into delta y minus so and so, right? So all the constants, because delta y, delta x and c and delta x were constant, so we removed it from the equation, and the final equation which we get and which is considered as a decision parameter is 2 into delta x xk minus 2 into delta x into yk, right? So this is our decision parameter, and then we have done a difference of the decision parameter. This is for pk, and similarly we are doing it for p of k plus 1 or p next. Okay, so how we are going to get it? So just replace your k with the next, or you can replace k with the k plus 1. You will get your p of next. Then we did the difference of p next and pk. Okay, and the final answer which we got is this. And there we are going to check a condition if p next minus pk. So whatever difference you are calculating, if it is less than 0. If it is less than 0, which means you are continuing with the same value of yk, and if it is greater than or equal to 0, then you are going to increment the y value. Okay, this is a decision we are doing based on your decision parameter, that is a difference of d1 and d2, which is the distance between the line and the pixels, that is yk and yk plus 1. So based on that you are going to do the decision. So this is the equation for less than 0, that is pk plus 2 delta y, and if it is greater than or equal to 0, then this is the equation, that is pk plus 2 delta y minus 2 delta x. Then we have calculated it for the initial point. What is the initial value of your decision parameter? So there we are going to replace your x1, your xk, yk with x1, y1. Okay, and then so we have done it over here, and wherever here we had parameters, your constant called c. So you want to remove it. So we are doing representing c in terms of x and y by making use of your line equation, that is y equal to mx plus c. So we got this, that is c equal to y1 minus delta y by delta x into x1. So once you simplify, we got our initial decision parameter, that is p1, or we can say p0, whatever, is equal to 2 into delta y minus delta x. So this derivation what we have done is for your slope which is less than 1. Okay, that I think I have mentioned it right in previous class. Yeah, so this we are doing with respect to slope which is less than 1, that is less than 45 degree. Okay, so this is our final algorithm. I think we stopped till here in previous class, right? So this is a finalized your Bresenham algorithm, wherein you will be provided with 2 points. Our starting point is x1, y1, and the end point is x2, y2. So first thing what you have to do is you have to initialize your variable x and y with the start point. So x and y we have initialized it to x1, y1, whatever the initial point was given. Then you are going to calculate the difference in x and the difference in y coordinate. So you got the difference in x coordinate, that is dx or delta x equal to x2 minus x1, and difference in y coordinate is y2 minus y1. And this p what you have got is p is equal to 2 delta y minus delta x. So this is this, okay? We have done it for the initial value of pk, initial decision parameter for the first point, okay? We have derived it as 2 delta y minus delta x. So same thing we are writing over here. P is equal to 2 dy minus dx. This is our initial parameter. Next, so while x is less than or equal to x2, why we are doing this? Because we are trying to draw a line from x1 to x2, right? And we have initialized our x to value, that is x1. So you are going to continue till you reach x2, right? When x while x is less than or equal to x2, till you reach x2, you want to continue the process. So first thing is put pixel. So whatever the initial value, that the starting point, you are going to put it onto your display or your raster scan monitor. Okay, you are going to put this pixel over there. And because we are going for sampling x, hence we are incrementing x here. And here we are checking a condition if p is less than 0. What is p here? P is our decision parameter. If p is less than 0, we have here, right? This is our decision parameter. If it is less than 0, what is the condition? So P next will be equal to Pk plus 2 delta y. So same thing we are going to write. P is less than 0. Then our decision parameter P will be equal to P plus 2 into delta y. You are going to reset the value of P to initial value of P plus 2 into delta y. Else it is P is greater than or equal to 0. So if that is the case, then this condition is satisfied, which means your P next is equal to Pk plus 2 delta y minus 2 delta x. Same thing we have written here. Else P is equal to P plus delta dy minus 2 into delta x. And then you are going to increment your y. Right? Okay, just a minute. I have to do correction here. It's 2 dy, right? It's 2 dy minus 2 dx. Here we have written pk plus 2 delta y minus 2 delta x. So same thing we have to write. P is equal to p plus 2 into dy minus 2 into dx. Okay, do this correction. I have already uploaded this, I guess. So please do this correction. Fine, and then you are going to increment your y. In this case, you are making a decision that the y value has to be incremented, whereas here we have continued with the previous value. Any doubt here? We have done the derivation in a previous class. So this is our algorithm based on that derivation. So first thing is initial point you will take. You will calculate the difference. You will calculate your initial decision parameter. And then you are going to do make use of while loop or a for loop. And you are continuing from your starting value of a x to the endpoint value of your x. And then you are going to plot it onto your screen. Increment the x value because we are going for slope less than 1. So you are sampling x. Then we are checking with the decision parameter. If it is less than 0, then we are making use of this equation. Else you are going to make use of this equation and increment the value of y. Any doubt? Any doubt with respect to derivation or this algorithm?
About this algorithm, I tried putting it, but I got some kind of error message. Do we need to put hashtag include?
Yeah, this is just algorithm. It is not a code. So when you're writing code, you have to make use of necessary libraries you need to include.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, because I have not written any code over here. It's an algorithm. It may not work as it is. You need to do a little bit of modification so that it works.
Okay.
Okay.
But besides the include hashtag include, the library is being excluded. The rest of the code can be written as is. It's just
Yes.
the libraries
Yeah.
that need to be added.
Exactly. But maybe put pixel is you just see how you are going to plot it onto the screen, in which language you are using. So how they are adding it onto the screen. So same thing should be applied over there.
Okay.
Instead of this put pixel, okay? Otherwise all other concepts remain same. Only this you have to check. Whether this function is available. Depending on what language you are using, accordingly a different type of functions are available so that it can be displayed onto the screen. So that you have to take care. Logic will remain same. Okay. Okay, let's see a few examples based on Bresenham line drawing algorithm. So you can take down this. So we are going to generate all points between 1, 1 and 8, 5 using Bresenham line drawing algorithm. I need X, Y and a P. So first thing what you have to do is identify our X1, Y1. So X1, Y1 is 1 and 1 and X2, Y2. In this case it is 8 and 5. Then we need to go for calculating our delta X, or you can say dx. So delta X is what? X2 minus X1, which is equal to 7 in this case, right? That is 8 minus 1. Next we need to go for delta Y. So delta Y will be Y2 minus Y1. So in this case Y2 is 5, Y1 is 1, hence it is 4. Then we need to calculate our slope. So because the algorithm which I discussed in a previous slide, so that is for slope less than 1, right? So let's see what the slope for this case. So m is equal to delta y by delta x will give me slope. So in this case, the slope will be equal to it's 4 by 7. Sorry. This is equal to 4 by 7. So this is less than 1. Hence we can use our algorithm. So what's the first step in our algorithm? Just make sure you have this algorithm written so that we can easily go through that. I hope everybody have this algorithm with you.
Yeah, we need to find P, which is 2 dy minus dx.
Exactly. Yeah. So we'll just follow this algorithm. So I hope you people have this algorithm with you. Okay. So I'll just continue like that. So once this is done, so what is the next step we have to do? Oh, in order to make our computation easy, so let's do this thing. So we'll calculate 2 dx because we need it at the later stage frequently. So 2 dx will be equal to dx is 7, right? So 2 into 7, it is 14. Similarly, we'll do 2 dy. What is 2 dy in this case? That is 2 into 4. It's 8. And then we'll keep one more ready, that is 2 dy minus this one, minus 2 dx. This is just to make my work easy, I'm writing this, okay? So 2 dy is what? It's 8 minus 2 dx is what? 14. So 8 minus 14, it is minus 6. So you will know why I'm writing this. You can see here I need p plus 2 dy minus 2 dx. Instead of calculating every time, I just kept it ready. 2 dy minus 2 dx is 8 minus 14, which is equal to minus 6. Okay, so I kept it ready. And 2 dx, we calculated it as 14, 2 dy is 8. So let's just start. So initial point is 1, 1. Okay, I'll just write over here first iteration. So x1 is 1 and sorry, y1 is 1. Okay, I'll not write x1, y1, let's just directly do it. And we need to calculate our p, right? So what is our p? Initial value of p. So I'm using this. P is equal to 2 dy minus dx. So this is initial decision parameter. We are going to use this. P equal to 2 dy minus dx. We already calculated value for 2 dy, which is equal to 8. And the value of dx is 7. So we will get it as 1. So initial parameter is 1. Decision parameter is 1. So in first iteration, you got this. So let's just check the condition. 1 is greater than 0, right? When 1 is greater than 0, what will be the value of x? Are you going to increment the value of x? Yes. Anybody want to respond? So when 1 is greater than 0, that is when p is greater than 0, are we going to increment the value of x? Do you need to think for this?
Yeah, we increase.
Yeah, no matter whether it is greater than or less than 0, we are always going to increment the value of x because your slope is less than 1 and you are doing the sampling with respect to x-axis. Hence, no matter what the condition is, x is always incremented by 1. And here we are making use of this algorithm to make a decision whether to increment y or not. Okay, so x is always incremented. So we are going to increment x, that is initial value is 1. We are going to increment it by 1. So new value is 2. What about y? Are we incrementing y? We have condition here, right? In this now our p is greater than 0. Hence we are doing this. So we have to increment y when it is greater than 0 and you have to calculate or reset the value of p. We increment the value of x, we increment the value of y as well. So in this case it is 2 and reset the value of p. What is the value of p? P is equal to p plus 2 dy minus 2 dx. Okay, so p, what's the initial value is 1, p plus 2 dy minus 2 minus dx, right? Okay, I did something here. 2 dy, it was minus 2 dx. Oh no, it's correct.
Calculated it as
Sorry,
minus
sorry,
6.
sorry. It's, yeah, it's no, it is correct. 2 dy minus dx, this was my initial parameter value. Okay, 2 dy minus 2 dx, it is minus 6. So we have already calculated it over there. So I'll just rub this thing. So I'll directly write 6, 1 minus 6. I hope you understood how we got this, right? So we have this equation, p is equal to p plus 2 dy minus 2 dx. We already calculated 2 dy minus 2 dx, which is 8 minus 14 equal to minus 6. And initial value of p is in this case 1. So we wrote 1 minus 6. Okay. So now the new value is minus 5. Is it clear? Our decision parameter value is greater than 0. Hence we increment x and y both. Then we are calculating a next decision parameter value, which is p is equal to p plus 2 dy minus 2 dx. So initial value of p was 1, so we'll write 1. 2 dy minus 2 dx is equal to minus 6. So hence we got minus 5. So let's write it here. 2, 2, minus 5. Next we'll go with the second iteration. So we have p value as minus 5. Minus 5 is less than 0. Are we going to increment x here? Yes, are we going to increment x?
No. Wait, yes,
No.
we increase it what? No matter what.
Yes, you can see here x is incremented no matter what the condition is. We are incrementing x, then we are checking, okay, whether it is less than or greater than or equal to 0, x is always incremented. So we have to just refer algorithm, which means we have to increment our x. So x initial value is 2, so 2 plus 1, 3. What about y? Let's check our algorithm. What is this? It's less than, right? So less than, okay, y is not incremented, which means we are going ahead with the same value of y, which is 2. What about p? A new value of p. A new value of p is p plus 2 dy. What is the initial value of p? Minus 5 plus 2 dy. 2 dy we already calculated, which is 8. So plus 8. So this will give us a new value which is equal to 3, right? So we got p equal to 3. So let's write it down here. X is 3, y we calculated as 2, and new decision parameter is 3. So like this we have to continue till we reach the point 8 and 5. This is our starting point. So we have to continue till we reach 8, 5. So let's continue with our third iteration. So p value is 3. So 3 is greater than 0. And we know x value is incremented, whether it's less than or greater than 0, whatever the condition is. So 3 plus 1, it is 4. And y value, when it is greater than 0, your y value is also incremented. So we'll increment your y value, which is 2 plus 1, 3. What about p? P is the initial value of p, which is 3 plus this one. What is this? 2 dy minus 2 dx. So 3 minus, I'm correct, right? 3 minus, what is this? 3 minus, what's the condition? 6. So what will be our new value?
Minus 3.
Minus 3. This is our third iteration. So let's just write it over here. So we have 4, 3 and minus 3. So likewise, let's continue. Fourth iteration. So minus 3, it is less than 0. So when it is less than 0, we are again incrementing x. Initial value is 4. So 4 plus 1 is 5. What about y? Y we are keeping as it is, no increment. And p is equal to initial value of p, okay, plus 2 dy, right? P is initial value of p plus 2 dy. So we'll do that. Initial value of p is what? Minus 3 plus 2 dy. 2 dy is what? 8. So we end up with 5, right? So we'll just write it over here. So we have 5, 3 and a 5. So next is fifth iteration. So 5, it is greater than 0, hence will increment x. 5 plus 1, 6. When it is greater than, you are going to increment both. So y is 3 plus 1, which is equal to 4. What about p? P is initial value of p, that is 5, plus 2 dy minus 2 dx, which is minus 6, which is equal to minus 1. So let's write it over here, 6, 4, minus 1. Okay, we have still not reached our destination, so let's just continue. I'll write it over here, 6th iteration. So what we have, p value is minus 1. Minus 1 is less than 0. When it is less than 0, only x we are incrementing, which is 6 plus 1 equal to 7 in this case. And y we are going to keep it as it is. And p is equal to initial value of p, that is minus 1, plus 2 dy here, 8 plus 8, which is equal to 7. So let's write down it over here. So we have 7, 4, and 7. This is our 6th iteration, right? So next we'll go with our 7th iteration. So with the p value is 7, so 7 is greater than 0, hence we'll increment x and y as well. P, we need not calculate p. If you need, you can calculate, but it's not compulsory because we have already reached our destination, that is 8 and 5. Okay, so our destination is 8, 5. So we can stop it here. This is our starting point, this is our ending point, and these are our intermediate coordinates. So you can plot it. Okay, 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 2, 4, 3, 5, 3, 6, 4, and 7, 4. So this is for the condition when your slope is less than 1. Any doubt? Any doubt here? No. Okay, so you can just take down this. I have one more problem after this. You can try to do that. I've written iteration here, okay, so that you know the flow, right? Is it done? Can I change slide?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. So here I'll just You can just write it on. Maybe it's useful for you when you are trying to solve any problem based on this. So this is how we are going to calculate a slope, right? Using delta y by delta x, and we are making use of decision parameter. So we will check a condition when m is less than and greater than. Both I want to show here so that whatever the problem is, you should be able to solve it. To decision variable, or in some book they have written is that it as error term. Both are same, okay? Decision variable or error term. So it can be represented as P, or in some book it is represented as E. So D1 minus D2. This we have seen, right? So we have something like this. Your line, so these are 2 pixels. And so these are our 2 pixels. Okay, and then you are going to calculate your you're going to calculate the distance. So this is our D1, this is our D2, right? In few cases they have written DA and DB. Okay, this they have written it as DA, that is distance above, and this they have written it as DB, that is distance below. So naming convention may vary, but concept remains same. So we have checked when P is less than 0, which means your D1 is less than D2. Okay, I think maybe I'll write it in some other way. D is less than 0 implies your D1 is less than D2. Okay, which means your D1, your line is near to YK. Okay, similarly, when P is greater than or equal to 0 implies your D1 is greater than or equal to D2. Fine. I hope this will make it clear. So this is our YK. This is YK plus 1. You're trying to make a decision whether I should go with YK or YK plus 1. So we have seen that calculated for slope for m less than 1. Our initial decision parameter, which we calculated as P is equal to 2 dy minus dx, right? So this was our initial parameter. I'm talking about this 2 dy minus dx. 2 dy minus dx, this is initial parameter, and we have 2 conditions. Okay. P less than 0. So P less than 0, this is like a summary kind of thing I'm writing so that it's easier for you. So x next will be, you are going to increment your x, and y next or will be yk itself, which is no change, and P will be equal to P plus 2 dy. Fine. Similarly, if P is greater than or equal to 0, then your x next we are going to increment it by 1, y next we are incrementing it by 1, okay, and our decision parameter P is P plus 2 dy minus 2 dx. Okay, this is a condition for m less than 1, right? Right. So similarly, we can do it for m greater than or equal to 1. So it is just the same concept, just we are taking the sampling of y instead of x. So your P will be just wherever you have x, replace it with y and y with x. So P initial parameter P will be 2 dx. Instead of dy, you are writing dx minus dy. right? And your p less than 0. So here you are making a decision whether I should go with the same value of x or the next value of x. Xk plus 1 will be equal to xk, which is no change, and yk plus 1. No matter what, you are going to increment your y when m is greater than or equal to 1. And p is equal to p plus 2 into dx. Similarly, for p greater than or equal to 0, here we are going to increment your x, y will be incremented, and the new value of your p is equal to p plus, it's 2 dx minus 2 dy. Okay, so you can make use of this for any condition, that is when your slope is less than 1, slope is equal to 1, slope is greater than 1. So this is a condition when your slope is greater than or equal to 1, and this is when your slope is less than 1. This is how you are going to calculate your initial decision parameter, check if the decision parameter is less than or greater than 0, and accordingly increment or keep the value as it is, as mentioned in this. Fine? Okay, you can just keep this thing. You can just write it on somewhere so that it's kind of a summary. You can just view at it and you can directly solve your problems. So it's not something new. It's based on what you have derived earlier, okay? This initial parameter 2 dy minus dx, it is here 2 dy minus dx. When p is less than 1, p plus 2 dy. So p plus 2 dy. When p is greater than or equal to 0, it is p plus 2 dy minus 2 dx. So p plus 2 dy minus 2 dx. Whereas when it is greater than or equal to 1, you have to just replace your x with y and y with x. So here it was dy, we made it dx, dy, and here it was 2 dy, we made it 2 dx. Because when your slope is greater than or equal to 1, we are going to do the sampling of y, okay? Whereas here we are doing a sampling of x. We have seen here when x, in this case the slope is less than 1, you can see that your x is larger than y, hence it makes sense to sample your x, whereas here your slope is greater than 45 degree, which means it is greater than 1, and you can see your y is larger than x, hence we sample y. So y always need to be incremented, x you are going to make a decision whether to increment or not. Okay. On this, okay, try to solve this problem. Calculate slope and make a decision whether you have to increment or not, and identify all the coordinates between the 2 points. Is once you are done, let me know so we can know your coordinate values. I'll just write down the table so that you can help me fill it. Starting values 1 and 1. And we are going to stop at 5, 3. So you have to calculate the intermediate coordinates. So calculate intermediate coordinates and let me know. Yes, what is the value? Second coordinate value. So first is 1, 1. Next, what's the coordinate? What's the value of P in first case? Here.
0.
Before that, tell me what's the value of M. Okay, whether M is less than or greater than 1. What's the value of M? Is it less than or greater than 1?
Less than 1.
Okay. This is less than 1. So based on that, initial value is 0. Okay. Everyone got the same answer? Initial value of P equal to 0. Everybody got the same answer?
Yes.
Yeah, got the same answer? Okay, good. What about the next point? So people who did not get it is just P is equal to 2 dy minus dx. So dy and dx, I'll just write it down over here. Dx is 5 minus 1, 4. Dy 3 minus 1, 2. Okay. So based on that, so 2 into 2 is 4. 4 minus 4 is 0. So hence you got 0. Okay, next iteration. Okay, let's just solve it together. First iteration. What's the value of our P? P, which is 0. 0 is equal to 0. What about X? Are we going to increment X? what we are going to decide? Are we deciding the value of x or are we deciding the value of y? Yes, are we deciding value of x or y? Given the condition slope is less than 1. When slope is less than 1, we are sampling your x coordinates, right, with respect to x coordinate, which means you have to increment your x at every iteration, and we are making a decision with respect to y. So hence you are going to increment your x. So initial value is 1, so 1 plus 1 is 2. And what about y? Even y we have to increment, right, when p is greater than 1 or equal to 0. So it's 2. What about p value? What's the value of p? Yes, you need to calculate it. What's the value of p here? Just check this. So we are doing for this. And p is equal to 0. What's the value of p? P is equal to p plus 2 dy minus 2 dx. Yes, what's the value of p?
-4.
Minus 4. Good. So let's just write it here. It's 2, 2, minus 4. We'll go with our second iteration, minus 4, which is less than 0. X, we have to increment as we are going for x sampling. So 2 plus 1, 3. We are not incrementing y in this case, so y will keep as it is. What about the value of p? What's the value of p? This is this condition. It's less than 0. Value of p is p plus 2 dy. What's the value of p?
0.
0. Good. So we have 3, 2, and a 0. Okay, I'll write it over here with this. Third iteration. So it's again 0, which means I have to increment both. So it is 3 plus 1, 4. Y will be 2 plus 1, 3. What about our p? What's the value of p? P plus 2 dy minus 2 dx. Value of p?
-4.
Minus 4. Good. So we have 4, 3, minus 4. Fourth iteration. We have to continue till we get 5, 3, right? So it's minus 4, which is less than 0. It's the same condition. So x we are going to increment, that is 4 plus 1, 5. Y you have to keep it as it is. So y will remain at 3. P we don't need to calculate it, but if you calculate, what will be the value? It's 0, right? Same thing. This is 0. So you have reached 5, 3 and a 0. Okay, we reached our end point. So intermediate point which you have calculated is 2, 2, 3, 2 and 4, 3. So this is for the condition when m is less than 1. So next, let's see one example where, okay, let's see one example where you have m greater than 1. So this is one such example. Try to solve this. Calculate m. I have made sure that this is greater than 1. So try to solve it, because two example which we solved is for m less than 1. You should know how to solve greater than 1 as well. Try to solve it. that summary I have written, no, m less than and greater than. So I can make use of that. So it will help you solve in short time. I think instead of waiting, maybe we can just solve it together, right? You can just help me out. So what we have, x, y, and a p, and we already have our initial values, which is 10 and 10. So first thing what we do is we calculate the value of delta x, which is 18 minus 10, it's 8. Delta y, 20 minus 10, it's 20. So it's 10, right? So just for simplification purpose, 2 dx, 16, 2 dy, it's 20. Great. So next we'll calculate 2 dx minus 2 dy. So 2 dx we just calculated it as 16, 2 dy we calculated it as 20. That will be minus 4, right? And what about our m? M we have to do delta y by delta x. In this case it is 10 by 8. Your y is greater than x, which means your slope is greater than 1. Okay, so let's calculate now. What's the initial value of p? It's 2 dx
6.
minus dy. Okay, you have to do changes here because our slope is greater than 1. Yes, what's the value? Is equal to 6. Good. So we'll write 6 here. Okay, so next first, I'll just write first iteration. 6 is greater than 0. When 6 is greater than 0, are we incrementing x? Are we incrementing x? Because here we have to make a decision with respect to x. So when 6 is greater than 0, are we incrementing x?
We have to increment it in this case.
Yes. Okay, so we'll increment x, and y we have to increment no matter what. What's the new value of p? So initial value plus this thing, right? 2 dx minus 2 dy. Initial value is 6 and minus 4 you need to do. So that will be equal to 2. So let's just write it over here. So 2 is greater than 0. When it is greater than, you already told that you are going to increment both. So we'll just follow that. So it will be, I'll just directly write, okay? And y will be 12. What's the value of new p? What's the value of p? Initial value is 2 plus 2 dx minus 2 dy. So it will be 2 minus 4. 2 minus 4? It is minus 2, right? I want you to solve it with me, or if you have already done, then please help me out. So we are done with 2 iterations. So let's do third here. So minus 2. Okay, now we have a condition where it is less than 0. Now tell me whether we have to increment x here.
It remains 12.
Okay, no change. So y will increment. What's the new value of p? So p is what? P plus 2 into dx. So what's the new value of p?
Plus 16.
It's a 16.
Yeah,
Minus 2
plus
16.
16.
Okay, then it is 14. I'll write it here. It's 12, 13, and a 14. Okay, so fourth iteration. It's 14 is greater than 0. So greater than 0, both you are incrementing. So we'll keep it as x 13 and y 14. What's the value of p? What's the value of p? Initial value of p plus 2 dx minus 2 dy. What's the initial value of p which you calculated? It was 14. So 14 minus 4, right? So that's why you have to make use of this so that your calculation becomes easier, right? So you can directly take the value and do the computation. So what's the value of p here? It's 14 minus 4, which is 10. Just try to make your work easy, okay? Like you can just keep things ready and you can directly use. So let's go with fifth iteration. I think I have many iteration here. Okay, so here we have 10. So 10 is greater than 0. So as we know it is greater than 0, both x and y are incremented. So we'll write it as 14 and y as 15. What's the value of p? Initial value plus 2 dx minus 2 dy. Initial value is 10 and this is minus 4. So 10 minus 4, 6. So we'll write 14, 15 and a 6. Sixth iteration, 6 is greater than 0. Again same condition. We'll increment our x, increment our y, and the p value is, initial value is 6 plus this. This is minus 4. So 6 minus 4, which is 2. 15, 16 and a 2. Then you have 2, which is greater than 0. Same condition. Increment x, increment y. And p will be 2 minus 4 in this case, which is minus 2. 16, 17, minus 2. So, okay, now we have a negative value. So, 8th iteration, minus 2 less than 0. When less than 0, we have done somewhere here, right? Yeah, minus 2 less than 0. X we have kept as it is, and only y we incremented. So, we'll follow that. So, x will keep it as it is, and y we are incrementing it to 18. So, what's the value of p? It is p plus 2 dx. So p is already here, minus 2 plus 2 dx. 2 dx we have calculated, which is 16. So minus 2 plus 16, which is equal to 14. So we have 16, 18 and 14. Oh, good. I have to do it for how many iterations? It's 9th iteration now. So it's 14 greater than 0. Both we are going to increment, hence x is 17 and y is 19 and p value is 14 minus 4, it's 10. We have done it somewhere here, like same here, it's 10. So we have 17, 19 and 10. I guess next is the last iteration because we are going to reach our endpoint there. Okay, so 10 is greater than 0. X we have to increment, hence 18. Y also we are incrementing, it's 20. Okay, we need not calculate p, but we have already done similar things before. So your p will be equal to 6. This is 18, 20 and 6. Okay, so this is how we reach the end point. So this is for a condition. This is for a condition when your m is greater than 1. Okay, whether it is greater than or equal to 1, we are making use of the same equations, right? Any doubt here? Any doubt with respect to this line drawing algorithm? We have done 2 different problems. I guess 3 different problems. 2 with m less than 1 and 1 with m greater than 1. You can consider one more problem where m is equal to 1 and you can try to solve it. Right? Okay. If no doubt, I'll continue with the next concept. Yes, any doubt here with respect to this? So we have done DDA
No,
line
ma'am.
drawing algorithm and Prasanna. Great. So I just hope whether what's the condition is whether n is less than or greater than or equal to, you are able to solve problems. So next is circle drawing algorithm. So we are done with lines. So next we are going to start with circle. So only just basics I'll discuss today. Algorithm maybe it will be done in tomorrow's class. Sorry. Okay. Okay, circle. So circle drawing algorithm. So before we start that, we'll see the basics. So let's draw one circle. I hope I am able to do that. So this is our center point and assume this is a circle. Great. Okay. So we have a point P1 which is at the center, and let's assume you have few points over here. Let's call it as P2, P3 and P4. So basic, you already know it, but I'll just repeat it again. So P2, P3 and P4, this is a condition for your circle. Okay, P2, P3 and P4 are at fixed distance from P1. Okay, so when you're drawing a circle, this will be the condition. You will have a center point and you will have some radius, some distance, okay, and you will have a point P3. At the same distance, you are going to identify one more point. Okay, so all the points on the circumference of the circle are at a fixed distance from your circle. Can you define circle based on this? A circle is a set of all points. So like this, you have just 3 points I have shown, but you have set of points, right? You have multiple points on the circumference. So it is a set of all points in a plane because we are dealing with the coordinates here, x and y coordinate. So it's a set of all points in a plane which are at a fixed distance from a fixed point, which are at fixed distance from a fixed point. So that is the definition for your circle. A set of all points in a plane which are at a fixed distance from a fixed point. So as you know, like we discussed for your line, y equal to mx plus c. So that is the equation for your line. Similarly, for circle also we have an equation, right? So circle equation. What's the equation for circle? When your center is or in few books C. Yes, what's the equation for circle when your center is h comma k or xc comma yc? You remember that? Or else I'll just write it down for you. X minus h whole square plus y minus k whole square is equal to r square. So this is the equation at the center xc, yc or h and k. And when your center is 0, 0, in our coordinate system, we have our origin as 0, 0, right? So when your center is 0, 0, your circle has the equation x square plus y square is equal to r square. So this is the equation for a circle. When your center is at the origin, that is 0, 0. If the center is at some other point other than our origin, then your equation will be x minus whatever your x coordinate value whole square plus y minus your y coordinate value whole square is equal to r square. Right? So we have two standard methods to represent your circle. See, these basic things are like if you remember, it's good. But if you don't, then better you can just go through the basics which I'm discussing today, so that it's helpful for us to uh, go through your algorithm for circle. Right? So two standard representation for circle. So first is your polynomial method. Like you have x square, y square, like you have some power and some variables, so that is polynomial method. And the second one is your trigonometric or polar coordinate method. So we have not yet started with algorithm. Whatever I am discussing, it is just the basics to know about circle or properties of circle. Polar coordinate method. Okay. So I'll go to share. Okay. I'll need one more slide for that. Okay, I'll just add a few more slides. Okay, let's continue. So I'll just continue with polynomial. So in polynomial method, we are making use of equation that is x square plus I square equal to r square. So in this case, you can make use of this equation to find the value of y coordinate for the known x coordinate. Like if you know x coordinate, you can calculate the value of y and vice versa. So that can be done by making use of this. And similarly, you can calculate the x coordinate by making use of a y coordinate. So while actually plotting it on the screen, so when you are trying to convert you want to plot the circle onto the screen. Okay, so let's say this is our circle and okay, I'll just rub this. So I want my okay, so our origin is 0, 0. Okay, that is the center point or circle. Let's assume this is our center point, which is 0, 0, and let's say this is our point P. This is x coordinate and y coordinate. Here the radius is r. Okay, this is our x value, or this is our y value. Okay, so while scan converting the circle using a polynomial like is achieved by stepping x from 0 to r by 2. Okay, when you change the value of x, when you increment the value of x from 0 to r by root 2, okay, and r by root 2, that is 0 is here when your x is here till you reach this point. So this point is r by root 2. So, and then you can calculate the each value. So x you are going to increment in some fashion. We'll see the algorithm how actually the x is incremented so that you can reach r divided by root 2. So for that we need to see algorithm. And then you are going to calculate your y. Okay, you are going to increment x and you are going to calculate y by making use of equation y is equal to root of r square minus x square. That is just I am rewriting this. For each step of x, you will increment x, calculate the value for that value of x. Similarly, increment x, calculate value for that value till you reach x is equal to r divided by root of 2. So why r divided by root of 2? Okay, why I wrote r by root this point. At this point, okay, your x value is r divided by root of 2.
It would technically be plus minus square root of r square minus x square.
Okay, let's see. I'll just, if you want, I can just write it down. So cos theta, so this is actually a theta, right? So cos theta is what? It is adjacent by hypothesis. So adjacent is, what's adjacent? So in this case, the adjacent is x divided by, and our radius is r, right? So cos theta, as we are, this point which I have considered, okay, I think I forgot to mention it. So we have considered this point, right? So in such a way that it is going to divide your each quadrant equally, okay? So whatever line I'm considering, it is dividing your each quadrant equally. So hence that line is what? For it must be 45 degree. Only then you can divide your 4 quadrant into 8 different octants. So we are going to divide our 4 quadrant. This is first quadrant, right? Second quadrant, third quadrant, and a fourth quadrant. We are dividing our 4 quadrant into 8 equal octants, right? It's 8 equal parts called octants. So hence you can say your theta is equal to 45 degree. Okay, that I should have mentioned earlier. Theta equal to 45 degree. And we know that cos of 45 degree is what? Cos of 45 degree is root 2 by 2 is equal to x by r. Just write it. You will get x is equal to r into root 2 by, and 2 you can represent in terms of root 2, right? That is root 2 by root 2. So this will get cancelled. Hence your x is r divided by root 2. So that's the reason we have written x is r divided by root 2 in this case, right? You are incrementing x in such a way that it reaches this. So your circle has a property that known as 8-way symmetric of circle. Okay, where I should write it over here. 8-way symmetric of circle. Okay, so this is a property of your circle. So maybe I'll just draw one diagram so that you understand what exactly this means. Is it clear how I wrote r divided by root 2? I hope that is clear. Okay, I am bad with drawings, so please adjust with this. Okay, so we have divided our quadrant into 8 octants, right? So let's just consider some point. So this is our x and this is our y. This is a basic circle property. I hope few people know this. So at some point, so this is 45 degree, okay, all angles are 45 degree over here. So let's say I have some point anywhere, okay, on this particular octant. So let's say this is my point and I'll call it as x comma y, right? So when you are going to fold this particular circle, let's assume that this is, you have a paper on which you have drawn a circle and you have this line over here, right, which used to divide your quadrants. So let's fold this. Okay, you are trying to fold the circle, or you can say a page which has a circle. Okay, at this line. Okay, at this line you are going to fold it. So this will be my first part of the fold, and this is my second part. So this two part you are going to fold it, right? So wherever this point will intersect, okay, at this particular part, at this octant. So let's say it intersects somewhere over here. What do you think? So they both will have a same value, okay? Your this octant and this octant coordinates will have a same value, but in a reverse order, right? It will have same value in a reverse order. So your xy value, when it was folded on top of this part, okay? So our I could have used different color actually. So this is one part, okay? This is my first part, this is my second part, and this is a point wherein I'm going to fold up our design. So wherever this point intersect on this particular circumference, so at that point you can say is equal to, you will have a value y comma x. It is just inverse of what you have over there, okay? So here the x value will be the same as what your y value was at this point, and your y value will be same as what your x value was, okay? So this will be y comma x. So for example, if my value was let's say 3 comma 2, okay, then here our value will be 2 comma 3, like that. Fine. Similarly, if I have a point over here, let's assume, okay, in this diagram it's not clear because I have not drawn it properly, but all octants are of equal size, okay? So just keep that in mind. So if I have a point over here, that let's assume you're folding with respect to this line, right? So this is my first part, this is my second part, you're folding with respect to this line. So wherever the point intersect at this octant, okay, that will have a value equal to, yes, anybody want to answer this? Whether y value will remain same or it will change. So this point from here to here, when you fold it, whether the y value will remain same or it will change.
Same, ma'am.
It will remain same, right? Because we are folding. Just assume you have a piece of paper and you have a circle on that. You are going to fold it at this point, okay, wherever it will intersect. So it will remain same. So hence, let's say your y value will be x itself. What about your x value? What about your x value? Y value is same, x value is same or different? You can see this is our origin, which is at 0, 0, right? So it will be same but negative value. It will be minus y, right? Because it is at the right, at the left of your origin. So same way, let's fold at this point. This is a point and this is a line which is used to fold your circle, okay? And wherever our point intersect at this octant, at this octant, this point or maybe this point, it will still remain same. So what will be my x and y value in this case? When you fold it, maybe you can fold it with respect to this, wherever this and this matches or this and this matches. Because it's a octant, it's equally divided. So what will be my value over here? So it will be in the same line as this, okay, or let's write it somewhere down, I guess. It will be in the same line as this, which means your y value is same, okay, and your x value, okay, whatever your x is there, right, your x value will also remain same, but it's a negative value. It's minus x. Similarly, what about this? At this point, you can just fold it here and see what will be my x and y value. Similarly, calculate for this. So this is 8 symmetry property of your circle. So based on how we are overlapping it, the same. If you know the values with respect to one octant, a complete value with respect to one octant. Say for example, I have this octant, okay, and I know all point values of this octant, like 1/8 of the complete octant. Then I can easily calculate the value of the remaining. I need not sit and calculate for every point. If I know this, I can easily redraw the complete circle. Okay, if you know this, you can redraw the complete circle, because this next value will be just the change of this. You have to change the value. Say for example, you have 2 and 3. We just change the value like -x, -y, based on which octant you are dealing with. Accordingly, you have to change the value. You will get the value of every point in the circle just by making use of the set of values from your first one octant. Okay, just one octant is enough. Just 1/8 of your octant is enough, so that you can redraw your entire circle because of 8-way symmetry property of your circle. And what is 8-way symmetry property? This is 8-way symmetry property. You have, when you fold it, you will get the same point like this, like based on which coordinate you are in. Accordingly, it will be mapped. Yes. Now tell me, what's the value of these coordinates at this front octant? What's the value here? So it will be in a same
X
line
minus
as
Y.
this. Is it x? It is here. See, it's our origin. It is at the left of my origin. What will be the x value, positive or negative? See, this is our first coordinate, second, third, right? At this point, your x is negative and y is also negative. That is a property, right? Your y is negative, x is also negative. And in this, your x will be obviously negative, right? It will be -x, and y, it will be same as what you have over here. It will be -y. What about this point? Again, it is at the left of your origin and below your origin, right? So hence your x and y both will be negative. So what will be the value? You can see here it will collide with this point, right? It will intersect with this point. Hence, you can say that your y value will be what? It's -y. Here, if the y value is x, then the y value will be -x, right? Then what will be your x value? X value will remain same, because here also it was left, here also it is to the left of your origin, so it will remain same. What about here? Or do you want me to go with the values instead of x and y? Are you getting confused?
No.
Okay, so what about here? What's the point here? So it is at the right of 0, which means your x is positive, and it is below 0. It's y minus x, correct. Sorry. What about this? It will be same as this, right? X and y, same, but it's negative. Okay, so whatever 3, 2 we have written, just replace it with x and y. You will just, okay, let's just write. If you want this -y and x minus y, it is -2 and 3. And here it will be -x, it's -3 and 2. And here -3, -2. This is -2, -3, 2 and -3, 3, -2. Okay. So this is a property, 8-way symmetry of a circle. Okay, this is its property, that is given a set of points which is with respect to one octant. Okay, this is with respect to this octant, if you know every point. Now with just one point you are able to find the point in every other octants, right? Similarly, if you know every point of this octant, you can easily calculate the point points with respect to all 7 octant. So we are going to make use of this property in our algorithm so that just with finding the points of one octant, I'm able to construct the entire circle. Okay, so that we are going to see. And in order to say that you have reached the end point of your particular octant, you have to check for this condition, that is your x from 0 to r divided by root 2, or you can say x has reached the value which is greater than y. Okay, your y value will be decrementing, right? As you go down, you can see your y value will be decrementing, your x value will be incrementing in this case. So x value you are going to increment, okay, till you reached this point. At this point, maybe this is a condition where you have your value which is equal to r divided by root 2. Okay, yeah, let's see. I was discussing basics. No, I was planning to do this later. Okay, so this is with respect to polynomial method. So let's see with respect to trigonometric. Same thing, just a representation with respect to trigonometry. So trigonometry or polar. Okay, trigonometry or polar coordinate method for circle representation. That is in terms of theta. You are going to represent in terms of theta your circle. Okay. So same thing we are considering. This is P, this is our X, this is our Y. Same property, A2 symmetry property will be using. So wherein you are going to divide your circle coordinates into 8 different octants. So here we are going to consider theta. So with respect to theta, you have to calculate your this one, and you have to calculate this X and Y. So what will be the value? So we know that x is our x coordinate, y is y coordinate, and r is the radius of the circle, okay, and theta is the angle. So what is cos theta? So we know cos theta is adjacent by this. We have x by r. Similarly, your sin theta it is y by r. So with respect to this, you are going to represent. Tan theta is not required in this case, so I'm not going to write it. Or if you want, you can just write tan theta is opposite. It's what, sine by cos, right? So opposite by adjacent, y by x. Okay, so with respect to this, what is the value of your y? So this is our y. We are going to represent in terms of theta. So y will be r sine theta, and x will be r cos theta, right? I am deriving it from this with respect to this. Right? So you can represent in this way. So your x sine theta or cos theta. If it is origin, you are directly writing x sine theta or y cos theta. Or y r sine theta. So if I have xc and yc as my origin, then you will be writing xc plus r cos theta and yc plus r sine theta. Okay, so this is how you can represent in a trigonometric form. In this case, so when you are doing the conversion, like you're trying to represent in a raster scan your circle, so what you have to do, you have to with respect to theta, you have to measure it, right? A radian which you are using, that is at this point the degree will be 0 degree when it's a straight line, right? And then at this point, what's the degree here? So when your circle, initially your circle will have a degree 0. At this point, what's the degree or radian? So you are going to increment your x. Initially the x is 0. You have to increment x till you reach 45 degree. From 0 to pi by 4, you are going to increment your radian till you reach the destination. Again, a same property it is, that is you are making use of your eight-way symmetry of circle, so that you can calculate the degree at each point, okay, till you reach a degree which is equal to 45 degree, which ensures that you have calculated all the points with respect to one octant. Okay, so these are all basics. So based on that, so now we know what you mean by r sin theta, r cos theta, so that how it represent your x and y, and your p. So in this case, your p will be r cos theta minus r cos theta comma sin theta, right? So this is how you are going to represent your circle in a trigonometry form, and this is how you are going to represent in a polynomial form. Polynomial is with respect to x, y, and r. You are going to represent, like you have a degree that is square or things like that. You are going to make use of that. With respect to that, you have seen that we are making use of eight-way symmetry, so that when it reaches this point wherein let's say your x reaches r divided by root 2, you are able to, you can stop your algorithms because you have calculated all the points in one octant. Similarly, if you are representing in a trigonometric form, you are going to start from here until your degree reaches 45 degree. Okay, you are going to calculate all the points, and at this point you are going to stop your algorithm so that you can calculate the remaining points by making use of eight-way symmetry property of your circle. Any doubt here? So these are all basics. I'm not yet started with the algorithm, so that I can, before I start algorithm, I want to ensure that you know all these points. So if I directly write r sin theta, r cos theta, you may not get it, right? So I thought I'll just go through the basics so that you can easily get the algorithm. Any doubt? Any doubt here? Yes, you can respond.
No, ma'am.
Okay, great. Thank you for responding. Okay, then I'll stop our class here. So next class,